We will begin. Begin in a reclined supine position on your back, comfortable position lying down on your back. This bit. Okay. To take these first several minutes, few minutes, several breaths, a few minutes. In a more comfortable position than a seat. Sometimes the seated position is comfortable enough. Starting on your back, starting lying down on your back, just let all of the weight of you go. In a way a bit easier to sense into the feeling of breath, practicing interoception, seeing what there is to see internally, what there is to feel in terms of your nervous system, any feelings of pulsation and tingling, electrical charge of your body just being alive. Feel the weight of your bones. Feel any just lingering tension around any of your joints, any of your bones. Area of the low back, shoulders or neck. And as you get closer and closer, just kind of circle in a little closer and closer to the sensations of breathing. Until you can notice the entire length of an inhalation, a slight pause, perhaps at the top of inhalation, and then the entire length of an exhale. Maybe a slightly longer pause at the end of exhalation. Let's take 3 more breaths. The entire length of inhalation, slight pause. The entire length of exhalation, slightly longer pause. Good. And then from there, let's take knees to chest. Bring your knees into your chest. Inhale, the knees move away from you just a bit. And then on the exhale, you might pull your knees in just a little closer. Just even let the weight of your legs fall toward you as you breathe out. Breathe in, knees away. Breathe out, knees toward you. You're feeling for the imprint of your sacrum, for the shape of your sacrum, the wide bony part of the middle of your lower back. You're kind of rolling the pelvis forward and backward, anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Nice, and then let's drop the feet to the floor. You just take the blanket and set it aside. If you were using anything to support your head, just set that aside. And then your feet are standing on the floor. Let's bring the shoulder blades a little bit more in, a little bit more down, and then feel the length of your arms alongside you. And if you're using the mat, just grab a handful of mat in each hand. And then come to bridge pose. Just take a breath in, press your feet in. On the exhale, lift your hips, lift your spine into bridge pose. Maybe your arms can roll under just a little bit more, any amount more. And press the feet. Feel the fronts of the hips extend. Lower abdomen, pelvic abdomen. The creases of your hips open up and just lift straight up through the middle of your glutes. You want a strong action through the back of the hips to hold your hips up in the air. Three more breaths. Lift the heels and stand into the balls of your feet. You can stand into your heels and lift the balls of your feet. Press the shoulders. Press the length of your arms into the floor. Press both feet. And then release your arms and let your spine come back down to the floor. Let's keep the feet here. And then the next time you breathe out, strongly contract the abdomen, lengthen the lumbar spine into the ground. On the inhale, feel the natural curve of your lumbar spine return. Fill the belly, big belly breath, and then exhale, empty the belly. Three more breaths. Three more exhales, strong. And once more. Inhale, big breath in, exhale, just pause through the exhale. Good. And then bring right knee into right hand. Keep left leg extended. Push out through your right heel. Sorry, bring the right knee and push out through your left heel. And then take right knee a little wider to the right. And then come up and cross it into your left hand and turn your hips for a nice, comfortable rotation through the ribcage spine as your hips move to the left. Two more, just two more in each direction. Good. So just 3 and 3, switch legs when you're ready to switch legs. The hips are tight. The hips just need a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of movement here. And then that rib cage spine rotation just feels like a really good thing. Good, and then return to your spine, return to your 2 feet. Center your hips, center your low back, and just take a breath. Okay, so then over onto one side, and from your side, press yourself up into a seat. Come to your hands and knees, rather, come to all fours. Flexion and extension, up and down the spine. You might take that cat pose all the way back to child's pose. A neutral spine then, right? Finish the end of that last breath from your neutral spine. Just pick up your right arm, reach it forward, overhead, then reach it up and all the way back as far as you can, and kind of slow down on this back extension behind you to feel the back of your shoulder, the support of the upper back, the back of your upper arm. And then switch directions. Replant your right palm and do 5 and 5 with your left arm. And just to see, do you feel equally mobile in both shoulders? Do you feel as strong in one arm and shoulder as you do in the other? Five and 5, right? And then just press back. You might go a little wider with your knees and your head down, and bring your arms over your knees. A little child's pose, your arms down alongside you. And then come forward, come back up onto all fours, and either step into a high push-up position on your hands, or if you want to come down and step back into high push-up on your forearms, forearm plank pose. You can be low to the floor. But then, like you do in downward facing dog, just bend one knee while you push into the opposite heel. Extend one leg at a time. So stay a little active and mobile in your legs, knees, ankles, feet, hips, and hold shoulders, and see how well you can hold on some length in your lower back. Take one more breath. Good. And then both knees to the floor. You could just go right back into child's pose. If you want to extend and stretch out the length of your spine again, you could just sit back on your feet and take another breath. Return to breath, regain some breath. Nice, good. And then from there, all fours, curl the toes under, take your hips back, crouch back a little bit, a more kind of crouching position to come into downward facing dog. Hips just behind your knees or even a little closer to your feet. And then lift your knees. Big breath in, exhale, downward facing dog. Good. And then just drop your knees about an inch from the floor. And then take your knees back again. So move in and out like that. Just bend the knees, dropping, but just hovering almost all the way to the floor. And then go back up. Do 3 more. Downward facing dog all the way. One more breath here. Good, and then walk your feet up about halfway. So your heels are more or less under your hips, and then just slide your fingertips back. Uttanasana, forward fold, Uttanasana. Slowly make your way up to stand. Take your time with your breath. With this shift in your blood pressure, just take your time coming up. Then from the front of your mat, do a few step backs, okay? So you can step back like warrior one, the whole sole of your foot back on the floor behind you, and step it forward. Or you can step back just onto the ball of the foot. Push off, bring it forward. You can add lifted knee. All right, so any variation, any modification, but just step backwards, same foot. Let's do 3 more. We'll do 8 on each leg. 8 each side. And then start again, when you switch legs, start from a place of really feeling your 2 feet on the floor again. Both feet on the floor. And then shift when you're ready. Shift the weight, lift the knee, or don't lift the knee, just step back, warrior one, or a lunge pose. Lunge pose is just going to challenge your balance and the stability in your front hip a little more. And just go at your own pace, 8 all together. Back to the top, 2 feet on the floor, Tadasana, mountain pose.
Let's lift the right foot and step it back. So again, you can have the whole sole of the foot on the floor, or you can kind of pivot onto the ball of the foot if that's okay. If that's stable, you feel stable more in the balance of the lunge, you can be in the lunge pose. And then just kind of pick yourself up and down. Just move yourself a little up through the ankles, through the knees, through the hips. So let the legs be mobile while you're trying to balance. Good, and then take 3 big breaths, hold the pose, take your arms over your head. Push off the back foot, bring it forward. Mountain pose, Tadasana, take a breath. And then step back left foot. Find balance in lunge pose or be in warrior one with the back foot on the floor. Move through the joints. Arms overhead, take 3 big breaths. And the arms come down. Lean a little forward, push off the back foot and step it forward. Tadasana, mountain pose, take a breath. Okay, and then to practice standing on one leg, let's just go. I'll leave it, maybe I'll just leave it to you. You could just come and stand and hold. And just do kind of your normal, if you want to do tree pose, you can do tree pose, you do the eagle pose, or if you want to just play with, again, the idea of moving around while you're trying to balance on one leg, then you could balance on one leg and then just start to take the upper body forward, take the back leg back, maybe stay close to a wall. You feel like you want to just have something close to hold on to. You can try to just reach down and touch the floor with one hand. Come back up and just try to keep one foot in the air, one leg in the air. Touch the other hand to the floor. Come back up. Go sideways. See how many directions you can move in and out of. Dimensions. Angles. And you'll just notice right away a lot more feeling, a lot more work, maybe a quicker fatigue in this standing leg. It's doing a lot more than just holding you in one position. 3 more breaths. Do like 8 breaths on each leg. And if you're just holding tree pose, again, also just 8 breaths. Eagle pose, 8 breaths. It's good to vary up the way that you work standing balancing, right? Just like any other pose, right? The static pose, the way that you've been working a pose, holding a pose, your body starts to get really accustomed and used to, right? Your body likes for you to just change up stimuli. So just switch legs when you're ready. Another breath or two. Feels like just some silly slow motion. Moving yourself around through space. Wow. We'll stand. Just come to a wide stance. Take your feet wide apart, comfortable distance for you. It could be closer in, it could be further out. Further out, you're just going to have a little more feeling of extension along the inner legs. Take one more breath in the fold. And then take your right heel and turn it back, angle the right heel back a bit and turn out your left foot all the way and find triangle pose, right? So you might bring your hands forward toward the left foot and then get left hand up onto the shin, extend the arm, unfold the right arm, reach up, find Utthita Trikonasana. Reach the right arm forward and down. Back to center. As you walk over to the right foot, turn back the left heel, swivel out the right foot. Plant right hand to shin. A little lift from that planting and then unfurl left arm. Reach left arm forward and then down, and then walk both hands back to center. And then from the fold, bring your hands to your hips, lift strongly through your upper back to come all the way up. Heel toe your feet back in together. From the top of your mat, from mountain pose at the top of your mat. So the next time you breathe in, arms wide, lift your arms straight up overhead. On the exhale, go back wide with the arms. Again, arms behind you, chest to your thighs, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bring both hands to the floor or both fists to the floor, hands to the floor. Step your feet back, high push-up position. Pull your shoulder blades down, but hug them in tight to your sides, arms in tight to your sides. Next time you breathe out, lower yourself to the floor. If you want to drop your knees, feel free to drop your knees all the way down to your belly. Turn your toes back, hug your elbows tight to your sides. Pull your heart forward, slide your hands down. Exhale. Take another breath, squeeze. Good. Turn one cheek to the floor, bring your arms down alongside you. Take one more breath here, rest. Nice, okay, and then let's take the right arm out to the side, palm to the floor, reach the right arm out, look away from the right arm, you're resting on the right cheek, and then push left hand, turn yourself over onto, over the front of right shoulder.
Maybe the left foot just slides back and you get that hip extension. Get that stretch in the front of your left hip. Right knee out in front of you. Three more breaths on this side. Nice, good. So just release yourself from your side slowly. Back through your legs, back through your hips. And then a belly and upper body, reach your left arm away from you. Come over onto your left side. Two more breaths on this side. And then slowly release back through both legs, back through both arms. Bring the arms down alongside you and point the toes back, rest the feet, turn your head and take a breath. Bring your palms next to you and keep your knees on the floor. Let's see if you can just harness the strength of your upper body to push yourself away from the floor. Hug your elbows in tight, right? So kind of glue the arms to the sides. Let that marry with the strength of your chest and your upper back and push yourself up and then press back. And then from there, come up and bring your legs forward, press yourself from child's pose, bring your legs forward, and just fold your legs into easy pose, into Sukhasana. Easy pose, deep shin cross, and then hands to knees. Let the pulling of your knees toward you, lengthen your spine, draw your chest forward, long forward fold over your legs. And you can let your palms come down and stretch out in front of you, slide your palms forward, drop your head. Take 3 more breaths in the fold. Beautiful pose for getting what you
normally get out of pigeon pose, but also just this nice kind of extension and broadening and releasing in the low back, and just come up and switch the cross. I'm gonna take the opposite shin in front. And then again, that same pulling your knees in, bringing the chest forward, fold, flex the ankles, push out through your heels, and then slide your palms forward, fold over your cross leg. And one more breath here in the fold. Walk your hands back up to come up, and then unfold your legs. Bring yourself out onto your back again. Your knees toward you, and then just let them go wide with your arms. If you like to cross legs to rotate to one side, cross left over right, drop both knees to the right, or just stack left knee over right knee. Take 5 breaths. Slowly switch when you're ready to switch. Bring yourself back across the low back, over to the left with your legs. The weight of the opposite shoulder, the opposite arm. Let that go when you're ready to. And then come back into the low back. You might just hug your knees into your chest here. Whatever feels good, just in terms of relative to hips, legs, shoulders, spine, rib cage. And then settle your limbs into a Shavasana, comfortable reclining position here in your back once more. Couple of minutes, just a few minutes. Notice all of your work, all of your efforts subside. Let go of stira, let go of effort, let go of that sense of effortful steadiness, and just be in ease, just be in the sukha.
Going back to breath, to rest and to breath. Taking enough time here to notice any change, any shift. Take another 2 or 3 breaths. To the end of your next breath and let that cue you to just begin moving. Just subtly, small movements. And bringing your feet up to stand, so you could push feet and shift your hips to one side. Could come from your back to your side. Notice that just that subtle, when you turn yourself from your back onto your side, subtle shift in your blood pressure. So take your time. Just take your time moving back up into a seat. Let your head be the last thing to come up. And then the next time you take a breath in, take your arms with you up overhead. Exhale, pulse your heart. Close your practice here. Honor, as always, your commitment to making time for your practice. Until next time, namaste.